Hello, everybody. My name's Rick McCutcheon. I'm a Microsoft Dynamics MVP. And today on Partner Talks, we have a very special guest, Jay McBain from Canalys. Jay, tell us who you are, what you do, and what exactly is Canalys.
Well, thank you so much for having me back. I'm a chief analyst. Canalys is a research and analyst firm. Canalys is actually Latin for channel. So while there's so many other research firms that show the $5 trillion industry that we're in and how much businesses and governments spend and measuring as Microsoft overtakes Apple yesterday as the most valuable company on the planet, we look at the 73.1% of this industry that is sold to, through, and with partners. And what Microsoft says is the 96% of their deals that are partner assisted. So that's the specialization we have of understanding millions of partners, tens of millions of people, how the economics of that work, how the programs, how the underlying technology. So every day I wake up just thinking partners.
Okay, that's great, Jay. And for those listeners who do not follow Jay on LinkedIn, absolutely do, because what he is publishing and the content that his group and he is creating is bang on for running our channel businesses. So, Jay, 2023 has just ended. Lots going on in the world of computing, especially in our world of Microsoft. What did you see happen in 2023, and where do you think it's going from here?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest story of 2023, bigger than the next three stories combined, was Gen AI. Microsoft starting the year with significant $13 billion investments in OpenAI, ending the year with that fun with Sam coming in and out and becoming a Microsoft employee for 30 minutes and then back to OpenAI. But that changed the world. I think it had most of us as technical people having our neighbors walk over and say, "Did we just turn on Skynet here? Is Arnold Schwarzenegger coming back at some point?" This is, for Bill Gates, for Microsoft faithful, he said this is bigger than the PC. Steve Wozniak for iPhone faithful said this is bigger than the iPhone. So, for those of us, and depending on what your age is, we haven't lived through that many turns of the crank at that level. And I think we get the joy in 2023 to be living through a new era, new billionaires being created, new things, and just a different world that we get to, wake up to. And boy, I don't think any part of my 30-year career I could say that I woke up the same way, after coming out of a year.
I must agree with you because, all of a sudden we were doing things one way and thinking about them one way, but we really had to stop for a minute and say, how are we going to do things differently in the future? And from a Microsoft partner perspective, lots of pressure on us, right? Because Microsoft's running 100 miles an hour with AI. Our customers are saying, we want to run 100 miles an hour with AI. How can you help us do that? So I think that's a big, big challenge for partners. It was in 2023 because everybody wanted to talk about this, and there was a lot of work to do to get companies ready.
Yeah. So as an analyst, I try to play out the future. And, so if I talk about dynamics for a minute, when Microsoft acquired LinkedIn, I was thinking through dynamics. I was thinking through Salesforce. I was thinking through ServiceNow, Workday, Marketo, HubSpot, NetSuite. I'm thinking through the layers of platforms that Dynamics plays in. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, 1+1 = 5 here. But the danger of taking private data and doing what some of those social media companies did to our privacy is something that doesn't sit within Microsoft's ethics or ethos. And they never really kind of combined those things to take on a CRM system or to take on I was always confused for years at what that meant. And then generative AI is actually that third pillar, which can learn from and kind of aggregate insights without destroying our privacy at a business application. And so it was always, I was always trying to think 1+1, and I never thought of this as a three-legged stool. Having technology that can, in a friendly way, add value to data sets without saying, hey, you should send an email to Jay right now because I just saw he went to the store and was looking at a new car. That's the kind of world that I think Microsoft is playing 3D chess while, other companies are playing checkers in terms of how this is all going to play out. And 2023 was that year, and now we're into 2024. And it's kind of strap on your seatbelt here because it's going to be quite the ride.
So in our Microsoft world, we have two types of partners. I've got the SI partner, systems integrator or VARs, who install the Microsoft product, get it to work. And we're getting a stronger community every day of ISV partners wanting to get a piece of this, Microsoft business, as well as VARs looking and saying, hey, I've got to build product now. Um, how do we get ready for what's happening in AI? And how do we really stabilize our business and understand, what's our way forward?
Yeah. So first of all, I recognize a bigger set of partners, for you, Microsoft and for the world in general. There's a Venn diagram over my shoulder with 20 different partner types. But it was McKinsey who, consults with many of the Fortune 500, including Microsoft's board and CEO. But they came out with research and said the average customer today has 7 partners they trust. So if you happen to be in a Fortune 2000 or high mid-market, there's probably a global system integrator or a regional system integrator who has one of those 7 seats. There's definitely a VAR. There's definitely a managed service provider today in 82% of cases, which is now a $500 billion market. You might have a digital agency, which 78% of the hundreds of thousands of them are now tech services companies. You might have an accountant, which 81% of those 300,000 CPA firms are now tech services companies. So in this world of millions of partners, tens of millions of people, there's a competition to get into the 7 trusted spots around that customer. So when you think about it at that level, yes, somebody's going to be implementing and integrating the product. Somebody's going to be consulting and designing and architecting. Somebody will be doing those managed services every 30 days forever, securing it, making it compliant, backing it up, disaster recovery. I mean, there's a whole list of hundreds of things that a customer's looking for in this flywheel. And today they're looking at a group of 7. And today there's very thin lines between partner types. Because when we ask partners on a long list of, here's 20 business models, what do you do? On average, they click 3 or more boxes. Because they are in there doing the consulting, they always have. But they're not a system integrator, or they're not a big 4 accounting firm. But they're absolutely in there trusted by their client, thinking about ChatGPT and thinking about what that means for marketing and sales and CX, thinking about operationally, HR, finance, the product themselves that the customer, whatever industry they're in, is going to be embedded with AI. Whether they make toothbrushes or cars, it doesn't matter. Partners are in those conversations. So that's this group of 7, and that's this, breaking down of who's a system integrator versus who's an MSP. It really doesn't matter anymore. Who's delivering on all this value and all this multiplier? Satya at Microsoft is fun to say that we're unlocking trillions of dollars of revenue for partners. And it comes back to the $7.63 that can be earned on every dollar of Microsoft. And that multiplier is in these hundreds of services. They show up before the point of sale. They show up at the point of sale. They show up in every 30 days forever in a subscription consumption model. So partnering has been revolutionized. It's now an ecosystem. And the best thing that your audience could do is go meet the other 6 trusted partners in their accounts. If you go talk to the CMO at your account, there's probably a digital agency that they trusted for 50 years in the account. You go talk to the CFO, they've got the CPA firms, auditors, taxation folks. They got the people they've trusted who are now talking tech with them. The next time you sign in at the guest book, go look backwards if they allow you to. 80% of the people signing in to talk to your client are talking tech. And it's a team sport. It doesn't mean they're competing with you. It just means that they're looking for their own part of that $7.63 multiplier. And you can share. And if the customer outsources a bit more than they insource, all boats rise. So partnering is now a team sport. And like any good team, we have the football playoffs coming up this weekend. Any good team sport, you can't have 11 quarterbacks on the field. Everybody does their job. Bill Belichick just didn't retire, but left the Patriot, but he's famous for saying, do your job. Customers are fielding a team of 7 people. And they're basically saying that, I'm going to line up where I need help to outsource with the people that have that resume and the skills and the competencies and the certifications to go help me there.
And I think you're hitting on something that's, as you're talking about this, I'm thinking, as I came up through the ranks, I was a CRM guy. I was a CRM partner. I'm a CRM expert, but I just can't be a CRM expert anymore. I need to be a business applications expert. But now you're saying even that silo is expanding, right? I've got to, interact more with other experts in different areas and make sure that we're working together to bring those solutions to our customers.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're calling on a chief revenue officer, they would have told you 5 years ago that I'm going to, start rolling into some account-based marketing. So here I'd like to introduce you to my CMO friend. And my CMO happens to have 13,080 MarTech and AdTech tools on the latest MarTech stack by Scott Brinker. But they happen to have 13,000 choices that I need to take advantage of in my sales process. And then a few years ago, the sales person would have came and told you, yeah, my company's now 100% subscription consumption based. So selling to the customer is the first 30 days. Winning the customer is earning a customer for life, which means I'm re-earning their trust every 30 days forever. I'd like to introduce you to my head of CX, customer success. And they happen to use ServiceNow and they happen to use a bunch of other things. There's 5,000 ISVs that play in CX. So now you're in this world of how do I integrate this entire customer journey, which as the head of sales, I've kind of elevated myself to think about the first 28 moments before the customer buys, that point of sale to reduce friction, make sure if I'm selling them a donut or a cup of coffee that I've got a restaurant on that street corner to go franchise to go do that. And then how do I re-earn their trust, upsell, cross-sell, enrich them every 30 days forever? This is a different world than I lived in 5 years ago or 2 years ago. And guess what? You just introduced generative AI to me that's going to completely co-pilot everything I do. My group of 7 might become a group of 9 or 10 by the end of 2024 because I might need a bigger team.
And a Microsoft partner who is traditionally the technician within a company, getting services to implement traditionally servers and networks and applications, their businesses need to change. They need to, absorb or, go out and bring in the right people to have those conversations with, the C-level or C-level members of the organization they're dealing with.
Yeah. So if you want to go back and quantify yesterday when Microsoft overtook Apple for a few hours, the most valuable company on the planet, but how you get a $3 trillion valuation? Well, the first thing you do is you take on a bigger competitor like AWS in public cloud, and you outgrow them for 19 straight quarters. Well, how do you do that? Well, something Microsoft knew that AWS didn't at the time was when the 7 people are surrounding that customer, there's a high chance that one of them is a Microsoft VAR that has sold a lot of 365 in their past. One of them is a Microsoft Dynamics partner. One of them is a Microsoft Public Cloud SI. I mean, when 4 or 5 out of the 7 people are talking Microsoft to that customer, thinking about public cloud and thinking about hybrid models, guess what? You outgrow your bigger competitor because the team is marching towards your drum. So that's, I behoove everybody who listens to go meet the other Microsoft partners. And when they're pulling cables and rolling in new PCs and imaging them, they're not competing on the business application side. And they're definitely not competing with putting more cloud consumption and Kubernetes and things on. So you're all in it together. And you've got this, massive opportunity together, to go win and elevate everybody's business. That's what you got to start thinking locally now is a partner is not a partner is not a partner. And I'm trying to build a team, and there might be only a few direct competitors in your town, in your part of the city or the industry you serve. You know who they are. But literally everyone else, the 99% of other people, are all friends or potential friends.
and that's what we've got to go out do and meet more friends and build our networks. So Jay, I want to thank you again for coming on Partner Talks, and we really appreciate what you have to say about Microsoft and the partner marketplace and where we have to go. So I want to thank you again, and hope we'll get you back on Partner Talks to talk more about what's going to happen in 2024 and 2025.
Glad to be back. Thank you so much.
Bye for now.